usually pinch the cap a little bit to keep it on the nipple, because sometimes they're loose.
It depends. It depends on the nipple. I mean, a lot of the stainless steel nipples, like this one, I've replaced the original nipple on here with one of the new stainless steel ones, and they're actually machined that a musket cap goes on here nice and tight.
I guess it depends on the weapon. Sometimes if it's loose, because once you pull it back here, you don't see it; it could fall off. So sometimes you just got to pinch the thing just so there's a little friction.
That's a good point. Yep. Anyway, that's loading the 9 times, and actually, it's something that you should be aware of as historians. That's what was expected that the recruits knew how to do before they went into battle. That's one of the 75 caliber Brown Bess loads.
Yeah. Preach loader. All right. What's next?
As far as drill goes, I mean, you've pretty much got that under control, right? If you're firing in 2 ranks, it's very important that you know how to step over and
drill's going to be pounding into everybody at Bull Run.
How about cleaning?
Cleaning weapon cleaning.
All right.
Young William will take over.
Bill, you're up.
Cleaning.
All right.
Young William.
Cleaning, and then I guess we'll go into otherwise maintenance. Cleaning, pretty straightforward. Hot water works great. I always dismount the barrel. It's bad practice to try to clean it with the barrel and the channel, because you're going to get water and shit between the barrel and the stock, and you'll forget about it, and you'll develop rust and crap. It's so easy to take these things apart that there's really nothing to it. Obviously you take the lock off with a couple of screws, take the tang screw out, and depending on the weapon you have, but it's all some form of barrel band, just loosen them or whatever, snap them, slide them off, and out comes the barrel. I remove the nipple every time, nipple wrench of some sort. We'll go into some of the tools you'll need. It's pretty basic. Take the nipple out, and then you can, I use a homemade solvent that works great. You get buy yourself a pint of alcohol, a pint of hydrogen peroxide, and a bottle of Murphy's oil soap, and you mix them in equal parts. You don't need a lot. Half a cup of each in a Gatorade bottle or something is fine. Will last you the summer. It's a good solvent. You pour it down the barrel, you stop the hole, shake it back and forth. You have to have a worm to use as a wiper. I sometimes use like the green, this kind of stuff is great for scrubbing. You make a little patch out of that. You'll really want to get the shit out, twist that into the worm, and then clean patches, keep pulling through until the thing comes out clean. And the last patch, correct me if I'm wrong, because a lot of this is different opinions, but a very light oil on the last patch, just to oil. You don't want it sloppy, soaking wet with oil. Just a very, very fine oil will keep the thing, keep it clean. As far as tools that you want, I mean, you can go crazy. This is an Enfield, it's a sergeant's thing, which has, it's kind of neat, functional. I don't think it would necessarily be a good exhibit in the field, because it's not something every soldier would have, but it gives you an idea of all the shit. You got a square tool there for removing the nipple, the worm, which you got to make sure it threads onto your rammer. In most cases they do. It's always possible to modify either the worm or the ramrod. Dave and I can help you with that if it becomes an issue. This is a good product, Ballistol.
Yeah, that's
this is good stuff. It's good on leather, wood. It's nice on the wood. You can get it. I think it's just, they advertise in muzzleloader. I think there's only one company that has a lock on the importation. It's made in Germany, but you can probably Google it on.
It's all over eBay and Amazon too.
Yeah, they're all. But good stuff. You can get in a spray can, which I happen to have. I don't know why, or just a regular bottle. But good stuff. That's good for oiling your barrel too. As far as tools, this is one that I can't emphasize too much. The vise for the mainspring. Again, not something you're going to be doing in the field unless you have some kind of a catastrophic failure. But some people will tell you, yeah, you can use a vice grip. It's a bad idea. has a tendency to slip. You might not compress the spring in the right place. You might over compress it and crack it. This is a flintlock, but they're all the same. But you notice it's pulled back to the full cock position, so the spring is compressed in a position that it wants to be. You just set this thing on here, and you just snug the vise a little bit. You don't use the vise to compress the spring, and then all you do is pull back, and you release the sear. And when you let it down, your spring is clear. You can unscrew it, or in the case of these, there's no screw, it's just got a hook and it comes right out. And you just leave that the way it is, and it's ready to go back in. These things, and this is, you guys should take these. I made up copies. There's, you can pick them up afterwards. Got a list of suppliers that Dave and I use. I mean, there's probably plenty more, but Track of the Wolf.
That's what I use. Track of the Wolf
for the guys that are shooting flints. They have good flints. They have these mainspring vices. I think they're $10 a piece. What you should do is get together a bunch of guys so you're not paying the freight. You know, order 10 of them. I don't know. They might even give you a break on
we can
a
also do
quantity.
the association.
Dixie Gunworks also. Lodgewood has a good source for nipples and parts. S&S Firearms is good, and Regimental Quartermaster. Nipples, the books recommend they replace them every year. I think for the amount we use them, that's probably excessive, but a good stainless nipple, and I think Regimental has them, Lodgewood has them, is probably a good replacement. The nipple pick Dave was talking about, I use 30 thousandths welding wire. It's good. You can get it off if you have a friend who has a little Lincoln buzz box or something. You can make a nipple pick. The other thing, I copied this. Probably not going to affect you much, but wouldn't hurt to have it. It gives you the thread sizes for the nipples because they vary from one musket to another, and you can't trust the subtlest. Justin got bit by this once. The guy told him it was the right nipple and it was the wrong thread, because you have, Tom and I were just having that discussion between the metric and the SAE thread. They're close, but not the same. If you start putting the nipple in and you find some resistance, you got one of two problems. Either the thread's shitted up or it's the wrong thread. So don't force it if it doesn't want to go in. But this thing, keep these, it'll tell you what thread is in what musket. I mean, most of us have either the Euro Arms Enfields or the Army Sport. So it's just a good little piece of advice, and that brings up to the nipples. You keep a spare. Here's a stack of them.
Springfield falls under what?
Depends again on the manufacturer. Which one are you looking at?
Probably. Oh, I see Army Sport.
Yeah.
Could be Army Sport. Could be Euro Springfield.
Back in the day when I used to go to the reenactments,
If you do,
I have all the
if you
various
do screw something up, between Dave and I, we probably have the right taps to chase the threads. We fixed Justin's that time. We just run it in. I mean, again, you're not going to hammer this thing in. If there's any resistance, you got something wrong. The guy gave you the wrong nipple, or you've buggered the thread. So it's not something you can screw up without really trying, but it doesn't hurt to know about it, repair it. That and a good quality stainless nipple. Who would you recommend getting them from? Regimental or
actually
Lodgewood?
Regimental. He
developed
he developed them.
And they're good. I mean, obviously stainless steel is inauthentic, but who the hell's going to know? They function well.
Yeah.
I like to keep a leather plug inside the hammer. It's obviously bad practice to dry fire and let your hammer slam down on the nipple. It's going to damage one or both. Clean the thing, hot water, soapy water, use that black powder solvent. I typically at the end, if I'm taking the thing fully apart, clean it, dry it, use some steel wool, buff it out. There's the flintlock, that's good to go. You can go crazy and use gun oil. I've had really good luck with just going to a place that sells sewing stuff and you get a bottle of the Singer oil. It's a very nice light machine oil. It's cheap and the bottle will last you the rest of your life.
What I use on my musket when I was firing the musket a lot, and I took it apart to clean it, I have a small jar of Vaseline. You dip the threads of all your screws in the Vaseline and put it together.
Actually, there's something you can add to that. I'm glad you
You know,
mind
just
that.
another thing before you add it, when you take the barrel off, rub a thin coat of Vaseline on the wood, because you always have a tendency to get moisture between the wood and the barrel, especially in camp, and it rusts out the bottom of your barrel.
Yeah. Don't go crazy.
Don't
just
go
a
crazy,
little bit.
just
You don't
a
want
light-
it, because
light coat.
the other theory with that is dirt sticks to the Vaseline, so you don't want it crapped up. Joe mentioned the Vaseline, which is good, but to take that one step further, graphite powder, get a carpenter's pencil and rub a nice little pile of it on a piece of sandpaper and mix it with a little dot of Vaseline, so it's like a putty-like consistency. Great on the nipples because it's completely moisture resistant, and then your nipple will come out. It's good stuff. I use it on the breech plug. I remove my breech plug usually at the end of the year. That's not practical on the percussion ones.